3, 2, 1, action. Hi bestie, welcome back to my channel where you're certainly gonna get hooked on books. And welcome back to episode 4 of Overbooked but Hooked. So if you're new here, let me give you some background on what this series is all about. So last year I did a video counting all of the books that I have on my physical TBR, and it turned out to be over 75 books. And I have a serious book buying problem where I buy more books than I could possibly read. So I decided to do a TBR takedown of a sorts series here on my channel to try to tackle all of these books, get the number down to 0 before I treat myself to a nice other big book haul. And how these videos work is basically I start with stats. I'll give you my previous month's TBR and what books I actually read, and any books that I did not read, I go ahead and I put them in an unhaul pile, because if I didn't read them this month, I probably won't read them in the future, so might as well just unhaul them at the end of the year, am I right? Then after stats, we'll do a quick little recap reviews of the books that I did read and what I thought about them, and lastly we'll go ahead and choose the next month TBR, which this month will be April's. So these are the 6 books that were on my March TBR, and then these are the ones that I read. So it seems like there's a pretty common trend now that I'm only reading 3 books from the TBR that I'm setting myself, so that's quite funny. But yeah, the other 3 that I'm unhauling are May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Lore, Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, and Violet Sithaway Is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Krempholtz. I definitely have had those books on my TBR for quite some time, except Violet. Okay, I've had Violet only since November of 2025, so this one was the only one that I feel like I shouldn't unhaul, but I know that it's giving more like cozy fantasy vibes, and I'm not really sure if that's really my cup of tea per se. If you have read it though, and if you liked it, maybe I'll consider removing it from the unhaul and reading it eventually. And then there's one more book going on the unhaul pile, because I very much remember telling you guys to hold me accountable that if I did not read this book in the month of March, that I need to unhaul it, because I didn't read it in the month of February because it was in my February TBR. And that book is Beautiful Things by Emily Rath. I know that the sprayed edges are gorgeous and like the actual character art inside is like really nice, but honestly I still have not read it. And I even went out of the way to get the audiobook from Hoopla twice, and I still didn't read it those 2 times. So it just goes to show I'm not gonna read this, so might as well unhaul it. Now let's move into the review portion. So out of the 3 books that I did read from my March TBR, there were 2 other books, I believe. Yeah, there were 2 other books that I did read in the month of March. The first one was Who is Maud Dixon by Alexandra Andrews. This was a carryover from my February TBR, but I just didn't make it in time because I was trying to finish Alchemized. This one was actually so enjoyable. The plot twists were plot twisting, and it was like actually kind of funny and enjoyable. And it was a book that I binged so quickly. Like I just did not want to put it down. I kept wanting to turn the pages and find out the next thing that was happening. And I also really liked that like the main setting of the story was in Morocco, so it was like in a completely different country. It was a different type of thriller that I haven't really read before, and I rated that one 4 stars. The next one I read was The Half-Hearted Queen by Charlie N. Holmberg. This one is book 2 in the Shattered King series, I believe it's called, and I literally devoured The Shattered King in the month of February. So when I found out that book 2 of the duology was coming out right as I finished book 1, I was like, I have to read it just back to back so I have the whole series done, you know? Unfortunately, it did not meet the expectations that I had, just because The Shattered King was a 5-star read for me. Like I loved that book so much, and the way that it left off, I was super excited to get into book 2, but really book 2 started out kind of strong, got really mid for a good chunk of it, the whole middle part, and then the ending was kind of decent, but it didn't have the payoff that I wanted either. You know, it wasn't a bad book, it wasn't badly written, the storyline was still well done, but I feel like there was so many other side storylines that were more focused on throughout the book that should have been more centered around a different one. And then the main conflict that was left off from book 1 got resolved so quickly in book 2, like before the 50% mark, and it kind of shifted gears that it kind of just threw me off, unfortunately, and for that reason I rated it a 3.5. The next one I read was Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews, and this was so good, guys. Like I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, because I thought it was going to be a little too similar to Don't Let the Forest In by them, but no babes, it was not. I seriously love that botanical slash body horror that CG Drew does in their writing. Like, that is such a unique type of horror that I've never really read before. Like, the body horror, yes, I definitely have done that before plenty of times, but like the botanical horror aspect is what's so cool. And the actual premise of the story was really, really interesting. And it wasn't only a horror, it was also like a thriller slash mystery in a sense, because we were trying to find out like a whodunit type of thing. Honestly, loved it so much. I did it in audio primarily, but I did do some immersive reading every now and then, but I primarily did it on audio because I was trying to do chores at the same time. But nonetheless, it was a really solid one, and I rated it 4 stars. The fourth book I read was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and this was such a good one, honestly. This is my first Lisa Jewell, and I'm definitely like really looking forward to read more from Lisa Jewell, but this one definitely had me gripped from page 1. Honestly, let me tell you that the plot twist was not something that I was expecting. Like, I'm always speculating when I'm reading a thriller, but with this one, all of my speculations were incorrect. Lisa Jewell really knows how to write a thriller, and I cannot wait to read more from her. And this one, I rated it a 4.5. And then the last book that I read in the month of March was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This was my first sci-fi that I thoroughly enjoyed a lot. It wasn't so science heavy. Like, there wasn't so much science topics that not everyone is familiar with. Like, the example I could give you is Project Hail Mary, where they're always throwing in so many scientific topics that not everyone is very well versed in. So it's a little more difficult to kind of grasp. Whereas this sci-fi was a little dystopian. Like, it leaned more in the dystopian side versus the actual sci-fi, but it's still classified as a sci-fi. But honestly, I know that it's YA, and I know that I've been like weaning off of YA more recently than anything, but this did not feel so YA as other YA books I've read before. This was so good. The premise of this book and the whole plot of it is so smart and is so intriguing, and it really like had me wanting to know what the hell was gonna happen next. Like, I cannot believe this is happening. What is gonna happen next? Like, and then the way that it ended, I'm literally running, like with a capital R, running to go read Thunderhead, guys. Like, I have to read it soon, because the way that it just left off, I need to know. Like, I can't wait, honestly. And I rated that one 4.5 stars. All right, now that basically all of the housekeeping is done, let's go ahead and transition into the TBR portion of this video. So I do have my trusty dusty TBR jar right here. We're gonna go ahead and pick only 4 books this time, and let me tell you why. I usually always pick 6, but I'm only gonna pick 4 this time because there's 2 books that I'm adding to the TBR from the jump that I have to add, because one of them is one of my highest anticipated new release of this year, and that's Nothing Tastes as Good by Luc Dumas. I am so excited for this book, and I have to prioritize to read it this month because I got it on release day, so I need to read this ASAP. It has incredible reviews already. I've seen a couple people already read it on BookTube that have really enjoyed it, so I'm so excited to read this one. So this is number 1 in the TBR, no if, ands, or buts. Then the next one is part of one of my IRL book clubs. I have to add this onto the TBR, and that is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I'm super freaking excited for this one. I've been seeing this one on the internet way too damn much, and I recently just went on a trip to Boston with that same book club, and every bookstore that we went to, I kept seeing it, but I kept holding off. I was like, let me not get it, like, let me wait. And what did I do? I finally ended up buying it at the last bookshop, because I was like, if I keep seeing it, this is a sign that I just have to get it and break my book buying ban. And also, it was my birthday on March 27th, and I allowed myself to break my book buying ban to get a few books, but I didn't do too bad. I only added, I believe it was 4 new books onto the TBR. So that's not too bad, guys. That's not too bad. And before we go into the jar, I always like to pick at least 1 book from my 12 picks for 2026. And this month, I'm gonna go ahead and choose A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang. Really excited about this one. And look at the pretty sprayed edges. I can't wait. I know that this one is really good from the reviews that I've been seeing so far. And I know that it's based on Chinese legends. So I'm super excited. And it looks like it's a nice short standalone fantasy, which, let me tell you, we don't get a lot of those nowadays. So I'm really excited that it's one of those types of books, because I cannot continue starting series and just have like 2 gazillion series I'm in the middle of and never finish them. All right, so let's go ahead and officially start the TBR portion. All right, now that it's mixed up, let's go ahead and pick the first one. So remember, we're only gonna pick 4 because I already have 2 that I immediately had to add onto the TBR. So let's see, our first one's gonna be this one, guys. All right, so if you know me, I'm infamous for putting these bitches upside down for y'all. So let's see if it comes out upside down. Oh my God, it's gonna be so funny if it is, guys. The first book it was upside down, wasn't it? Yep. These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean. I do have a repick. I always like to give myself one repick at the end of choosing the TBR. So this one might end up getting tossed back and I repick because it's summer. It says summer, guys. And we are in spring. I want to read like springy books, not summery books, but we'll see. All right, let's pick number 2. Let's mix it up again before I choose. All right, let's get in there again. I like that the jar's starting to look a little less full. That's so nice. Shows that I'm doing progress. So let me see if I can see. Okay, I don't think that's upside down, guys. So book number 2 is Your Knife, My Heart by K.M. Moronova? Hold up. I need to see if I'm saying that right. Yeah, okay, K.M. Moronova. I thought I wrote that wrong. Anyways, so yeah, book number 2 on the TBR is Your Knife, My Heart by K.M. Moronova. This one I'm definitely excited about. I got it on a super great sale because unfortunately one of my indie bookstores by me was closing down, so it was on a good sale. But nonetheless, it sounds like a really, really good one. And also, it's sprayed edges. And I'm pretty sure that book 2 and maybe 3 are out already. Don't quote me on that, but I'll put it here on screen just to let you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick number 3. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go with this one. All right, I'm gonna try to see that, make sure it's not upside down. Oh, I think I saw it already, but book number 3 is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. Okay, let me get it. Where did I put that bitch? Am I blind? Yeah, I'm blind because it was right in front of me. Kill for Me, Kill for You is book number 3 on the TBR, guys. Okay, now let's pick the last one, and then we're gonna do a repick because I still don't want these Summer Storms on the TBR. Okay, let's get in there. Okay, this one. I already saw it, but it's okay. I'm actually really excited about this one. So book number 4 is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Let me get it. How to Sell a Haunted House. So I'm pretty sure that, I think it was in my January TBR that it came up, but I never unhauled it and I put it back because I know that I really, really want to read this one. So I'm glad that I got it and I have to prioritize it this month. So, because I don't want to unhaul it. I cannot. Okay, so we picked our 4. Now we're gonna do our repick. Now, if I don't like the repick, I'll just keep these Summer Storms. But if I do like the repick, I'm gonna replace that one with the repick. So let's see. I'm hoping it's a really good one that immediately I'm like, yep, I'm changing it. Yep, I'm changing it. Okay, this one. I tried not to look at it just to make sure so I could be surprised. But I have to make sure it's not upside down. Okay, whatever. So my repick choice is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. No, babes, that's not happening. No. Listen, it's part of my 12 picks for 2026, but I have it specifically reserved for like fall, winter, because I feel like that's a huge fall, winter fantasy book for me. So we're gonna keep these Summer Storms on the TBR, okay? So now we're gonna do a quick rapid fire recap of all the books that are on my April TBR. So first things first are the 2 books that I said that I have to add to the TBR because I have to read these. The first one being Nothing Tastes As Good by Luke Dumas and The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. Then I always pick at least one book for my 12 picks for 2026 just to make sure that I am going down that list and reading all of the books that I have on that list. And I chose A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang. And then the 4 books that I got from the jar are These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean, Your Knife, My Heart by K.M. Moronova, Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh, and How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. So there you have it. This is my April TBR. I'm super excited for a lot of these, honestly, especially Nothing Tastes As Good. Like, I'm really expecting that to be a 5-star read, and if it's not, I'm gonna be a little disappointed, but I have no doubt in my mind that it's gonna be a 5-star read, honestly. But anyways, if you like this video, make sure to go ahead and give me a like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, and it brings me to more like-minded individuals like yourselves. And also make sure to hit the notification bell just so you're notified every single time that I post a new video. Let me know in the comments what is on your April TBR. Let me know if you've read any of the books that are on my TBR, just so I know and I can prepare myself, because I'm so excited about all of them, honestly. And if you made it this far into the video, go ahead and drop me a water droplet emoji. I'll put it here on screen. But yeah, drop me those water droplets on the comment section to know who the real ones are that stayed all the way to the very end. And also because, you know, April showers brings May flowers. And with that, bestie, let's get hooked.